Oh my God, I can't believe I'm standing in Joan Rivers' house. 22 years ago, she gave me the award for the best male stand-up at the American Comedy Awards, and now I'm getting ready to climb in bed with her? Who says show business doesn't pay off?
I'm Joan Rivers. The name of my show, which I think you should know by now, is called In Bed With Joan. And let's see who's coming out of my closet today. Hello?
Hello, Joan.
All right, Bill Engvall. How nice to have you.
Let me take my
Take
shoes
your
off,
shoes
because
off.
my mom always said take your shoes off before you get in bed.
Yeah. Well, my customers, I never ask.
This is such a treat.
Such a treat to have you on. I gave you one of your first awards. And
Yes,
that was
you
how
did.
long ago?
22 years ago.
And you were Best Young Comic? What?
It was the best male stand-up in a nightclub, in a comedy club, and it was like this second or third year that the American Comedy Awards have been, and nobody knew who I was. And I remember when you announced the name, my wife and I got this look. I still have the tape. We get this look on our face that only trailer park people get when a UFO lands in their yard.
Yeah.
Because we were just like, what?
You didn't know?
No, it was me and Rich Scheidner and George Wallace and Will Durst, and there was another guy, and I was the least known. But it was the first year that they had let the fans vote, and when I went up there, I still can remember. I said when I went up there and you gave me the award, which I was just honored that I got to meet you.
Yeah, right.
And I looked at the audience. I said, I know you're all thinking Bill who, and now here we are.
And
22 years later, and we're in bed together.
You have made, since I gave you that stupid award, you have made $40 million. Larry the Cable Guy has made $50 million. Jeff Foxworthy.
Who knows?
You've almost made as much as Precious spends for lunch. I mean, it's just insane.
It is, Joan. It has been an incredible ride. The blue collar thing just was when my first album came out. This is actually kind of a funny story. Because I have actually been doing this longer than Foxworthy, but everybody, he just skyrocketed through the roof, and so when I signed with his manager, they said we're going to put out an album, and I thought, all right, here we go. This is what I've been waiting for, because I'd seen Jeff's records all go platinum and gold, and so we released the album, and it sold 100 copies across the country. And I went, well, this one is called Here's Your Sign. But the problem was we didn't have the song that Travis Tritt did on the album. So nobody really, I remember in Hawaii we sold one album. But then like a month later we released the single that Travis Tritt and I did in the video. And it literally went from a couple hundred copies a week to like 10,000 a week. And it was actually the #1 hit on the country charts for 8 weeks in a row.
Is your humor hillbilly? You know what I mean? Like,
oh, not at all. No. In fact, it's very, very mainstream, middle of the road. A lot more Newhartish and Cosby-esque in the sense of, I talk a lot about my family and being a father, and now with them growing, I'm talking about getting older and my wife and I being empty nesters and stuff like that. And it's been great, but it's also been kind of a setback a little bit because I lost out on a lot of HBO when they were doing the one-night stands and stuff because I wasn't edgy enough. I always worked clean and but because of that, I've also been, this is my 33rd year in the business. So
when you say you work clean, is it because you just think in those terms?
Oh no, I love a good dirty joke, but but it's I just found I learned early on, Joan, that you can talk about whatever you want, as long as you do it in the right way.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
I think that is so true. Now, you all went out together as a quartet, comedy quartet, with Ron White.
Right.
And Ron White, I think of him as the Davy Lee Roth of hillbillies. He went away.
Yeah, that's probably that or Ron is.
What happened to him?
Ron just kind of decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and God bless him for that. I would tell you this, that of the four of us, when Ron's on his A game, he's the only guy of the four that I would pay money to watch every night.
Did you all like each other much at the? You're going to tell me yes, because you're a good guy. Did you like each other as much at the end of the run as the beginning?
I think it had started to run a little thin.
Yeah.
And that's just natural. You spend that much time together. It was all very exciting and new and fresh in the beginning. And by the end of it, I think we'd all kind of said, okay.
It's enough.
Yeah, because you know as well as I, the comedians we're loners. We're not a group mentality, and everybody. And that was one of the things that made the thing so special was that when we sat together at the end and just kind of talked, people got a kind of like a little insight into what we. But if you had known us all and you'd watched, you could tell there was some of the laughter was a little bit overextended,
Yeah, yeah.
but it was one of the things that I was telling my wife the other night. I said it was one of those pieces of we'll go down in comedy history as one of the largest selling tours ever. I mean, we set records in arenas for selling out shows for. I remember in Nashville we sold 18,000 tickets for one night.
18,000 people?
Yeah.
Give me a joke that 18,000 people. I want to hear a joke that 18,000 people laughed at.
I don't know if 18,000 of them did, but they all paid.
Give me one. That's the biggest joke. Well, give me one joke that you would tell to an arena. And how long do you have to wait for the sound to come back?
Oh, yeah. Well, if when I would do one of my "Here's Your Sign" jokes.
Right. Just do it to them.
All right. So we got TiVo in our house, and I got it all hooked up in the basement. And my wife came down and said, "How is it?" And I said, "It's great. I can pause live sports." And with a blank look, she said, "And they'll just wait." Here's your sign. And you would do it, but it was an art to learn how to work a room that big because you literally had to take your time, and that was where I will always be thankful to Jeff because when Jeff was at the peak of his career, he took me out as his opening act, which I wouldn't have taken me out as my opening act. Because I was trying to slay the room. I was trying to make them forget about Jeff. And so one night we're sitting at the bar and Ron said, "Boy, Billy goes, I remember when the clubs, I'd go up and I'd just gut the room. And then they'd introduce you and you'd come up with that slow drawl and that slow delivery and they'd be like, Ron who?" And I thought, oh my God, I got away from who I was trying to be somebody else. And it was funny because one night I went into Jeff's dressing room and I said, "Look, I want to apologize to you." And he said, "For what?" And I said, "For 5 years I tried to be you and beat you." And I said, "And that was wrong." I said, I wasn't being me. And he got really uncomfortable and he said, "Why?" He goes, "I go, this isn't so much for you, it's just for me." I had to say it out loud. And now and then I enjoyed the rest of the tour was just as much fun as it could have been. Because I mean, Joan, as a comedian, there were nights we would get to the city and we go do the show in this arena and we leave in 4 separate limousines, drive to the airport, there's 4 jets parked, and everybody took off on their own way. And I remember one night I yelled at Jeff, I said, "Jeff, we got to take a picture of this because this is not going to happen again in our lives."
You seem so much solid in where you are, but you don't seem like you're on the internet. You're not going for that edge.
I'm not.
We checked you. Oh, your last blog entry, 2008. He was upset about Paul Newman's death.
Yeah. I was.
I don't want to hurt your feelings. Have you heard about James Gandolfini?
Yes, I know. And Dennis Farina.
Yeah.
I mean, I was, well, I've never been a big social media, and my publicist hated that I don't know. There's the part of me hates this whole thing because there's just complete anonymity of, someone can say, "Hey, I listened to your latest album and you suck." It's like, well, they would never walk up to me on the street and say that, but yeah, they can go, "Hey, it's Assman79." It's like, well, but I tell you what's funny is when I had my sitcom on TBS, there was a guy at the Sacramento Bee. I'll never forget him, and he wrote this just brutal review of it. And this is a family show. It's just, and it was what I wanted. I just wanted an old-fashioned TV sitcom family show. And he goes, "This show is so boring," and he got personal. And I finally, I said, "That's it." And I called the Sacramento Bee, and I got that guy on the phone. And I said, "Hey, it's Bill Engvall." And he goes, "Oh, hey." And I go, "Yeah, hey." I go, I read your review. I go, did I do something personally to you? And he goes, well, I go, look, man, I don't care if you don't like the show, but don't write stuff like that. I go, you can say, hey, the show's not for me, but give it a look. You may like it. And it was the first time I ever really stood up. And he was like, hey, I don't know what he said, but he rewrote it. But it made me feel better because it was just, the thing about comedy, as you well know, is it's so subjective. What you might find hysterical, I might stare at, and vice versa. But it doesn't mean I would sit there and that Joan Rivers, oh God, I don't know how she's made it this long. It's just like I would never say that to anybody.
See, I say that all the time. He's a very nice man. Are you kidding? Dane Cook? Where do you want to start?
Don't get me started there.
Oh, yes.
What do you think of some of the country stars? Honey Boo Boo.
I just think this pendulum has swung so far that it's like it's like the old that what's the show, The Running Man. With the Stephen King novel, there's gonna be a show. Trust me, in the next 5 years probably, that death could be happening on TV. I think it's just that's the last bastion anymore.
Right.
It's like it's just not, and that's why my show on TBS failed, was because if that show had been on 10 years earlier, I'd have been sitting there with Jerry Seinfeld, in syndication and rich as I could be.
But why, seriously, do you think it failed? It was an adorable show.
I think it was.
And great talent. Jennifer.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Lawrence played his daughter.
I think the reason it failed was because it just wasn't edgy. The kids didn't run the house. It was mom and dad set the rules, and I just think that people, I have a firm belief, and I may catch flack for this, but I think too many parents are so concerned with being their kid's best friend when they're little instead of being a parent. And what happens is we've raised this whole generation of kids, aka Honey Boo Boo, these kids that when they hit their teens, there's going to be an implosion. And I just think that there's nothing wrong with being a parent and saying, no, you can't do this. And no, I was on a plane the other day, and this little girl's just pitching a fit. And the dad's just flipping through a magazine, and it was like obviously driving everybody crazy. He pulls out an iPad and hands it to her, and now she's playing a game with the volume all the way up. It's like, really?
But all right, then why didn't you turn around and say,
well,
is Casey Anthony on the plane? I have a job
you know what?
here.
I should have. I really should. But there's a reason why. And I'm going to tell you what. My example. We were at a baseball game at the Angels, and there was a guy behind us who was just drunk as he could be, and he's just being obnoxious. And I'd finally had enough, because I'm there with my wife, and I just turned around and was getting ready to tell him to shut the hell up, and I turned around and he goes, Bill Engvall, I'm your biggest fan, man. That's awesome. I'm like, hey, all right.
Do you play urban markets? Like, have you gone into New York City and played, say, the Paramount?
That's been one of the great things about my stand-up, and I wish while I do it, I just was blessed with this ability to just have relatable humor. I don't have any problems with color barriers or religious, because it's just because people are people, no matter what your belief is, your religious belief, your color, your race, whatever. Kids do stuff and parents do, and we all do the same stuff.
How many days are you out traveling?
It's not as bad as it used to be. I'm probably doing 60 to 80 dates a year, but it's mainly Friday, Saturday, and then I'm home during the week. But in the old days, I mean, I missed both my kids walking and talking for the first time because I was on the road. It's like you'd go out for 3 or 4 weeks at a time, and it was funny. I'll tell you a funny story. When I first came up with the "Here's Your Sign" thing, I used to actually have signs made that said "I'm stupid," and I would sell them after the show, and I'd sell them for $1 a piece. And so I'd come home with a couple $100 in ones, and then my wife would go to the bank. And then one day she came and she goes, "We got to stop selling these." And I said, "Why?" And she goes, "Because everybody at the bank thinks I'm a topless dancer." So we kind of put that aside.
You are so warm and so kind, because a lot of different vibes come out of people. I sit in the bed and talk to them, that I usually say, who would you like to apologize? We do a little segment on the show. If there's anyone that you think you hurt. Did you ever look back on your childhood, your adolescence, or even lately, that you want to look in the camera and just say, I'm terribly sorry. Is there
Yeah,
any-
yeah.
This is your chance.
Okay, there was a little girl in college. Her name is Linda, and we went to a dance, and it was a mixer party. We were at a mixer party. I'm sure she remembers, and I hooked up with another girl while I was on a date with her, and I apologize for that.
Now, is there anyone that was mean to you that you want to say, look how far I've come?
Oh yeah. In junior high, Judy, I think you'll remember this. We had the Valentine's Day dance, and they had hearts made up with all the known couples in the junior high. And Judy and I had our heart hanging in the gym. And at the Valentine's Day dance, she pulled it down, tore it in half, and started going out with my best friend. So see, Judy, you could have been sitting right here with Joan Rivers.
And do we know what happened to Judy, that slut?
Actually, Judy's done very well, and we've actually have talked, and we laugh about it now.
Yeah, ha, Judy. He's got $40 million and you're still in Texas.
What I ought to do is I ought to yell at those HBO execs who turned me down for the one night stand. Yeah, see there, screw you, I made it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You had me, you let me go.
That's the Bill I know and love. Melissa, come on in.
Sorry, moving a little slow, a little stiff from sitting
It's
on the
a
ground.
dream come true.
Oh, isn't it just? Isn't it just? Okay.
Right.
I'm going to give you two choices.
Okay.
One of the options, it could be a person, it could be a thing, gets to live, stay, exist. The other one, dead, gone,
Okay.
and why?
Oh, okay. And why?
And
All right.
why?
All right. Ooh.
Okay. Cracker Barrel or Waffle House?
Cracker Barrel gets to stay. Waffle House has to go.
Why?
Because Waffle House has to go because while I love Waffle House, an hour later it's not pretty.
And you can shop at Cracker Barrel.
And you can shop at Cracker Barrel, yeah.
Yep. Ford or Chevy?
Oh, God, why do you pick that one? Ford can stay, Chevy can go. And I say Ford because that was my first truck, was a Ford truck.
Fair enough. Baseball or football?
Oh, football can go.
What?
Baseball can stay.
Oh, please.
I think baseball is still, and I harken back to what we talked about. It was America's pastime, and it's, the greats. And football's just so violent. And I guess because I could play baseball and I wasn't big enough to play football.
There you go.
Joe Namath,
Yeah.
great baseball player. Keep going.
Paula Deen or Al Sharpton?
What people don't realize is that Paula Deen is one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet in your life. And she just made a mistake. And it was a bad mistake. I'm not excusing her for that, but we can all let her up.
She's on the mat.
Yeah. And I say with it, it's like we've all made mistakes, and I think sometimes in this country we don't want to forgive anymore, and I think sometimes we should probably remember that.
That's so right. This to me is what it's all about. I think we should close on. This is what makes America fucking great. Yeah.
That's right.
Everybody, Bill, what was it?
Engvall.
Engvall. A Nazi. And would you do the honors of
Turning
doing
out
the
the
clapper?
lights.
Turn out the
We have a
lights.
clapper?
Yes.
Well, you gone? Oh my God. I just spent a half hour in bed with Joan Rivers, and I gotta tell you something. It was unbelievable. That woman's got some power, some energy. I'm worn out.
I loved Bill. I'll tell you, I have not had this much fun with a country boy since I took Elvis to fill his prescriptions. We used to go home and eat those peanut butter and Percocet sandwiches.